uncomfortable. This tear in my bottom, my right cheek. My leg only extends out like a foot. It's so ironic. I ran a 39-minute 10K. And sometimes I think, well, I got to see the really fast, explosive part of life with skating and DJing and running, ultra running, madness and love. And now I'm in another, actually there's part of me that's grateful for, I'm lucky seeing both sides, 180-degree turn. It's not much fun, I dare say. Anyway, I'm not going to go on about that because it sounds like complaining, but really it is an adventure. It being manic, wonderful life's paradise to serious folks, serious suffering, many different levels. Suffering, stress. For example, at UCLA, the MRIs, they're looking for biomarkers, markers in the brain, something substantial to show that it indicates there is disease there and what it may be, or even a fever to Alzheimer's. And I'm not going to get into that any further. So the last test was a psychological test. They could have prepared me by saying, we're giving you a stress test, and it might get to the point where you get very stressed and agitated. We don't know how stress manifests itself in your body. They could have said this. So I'm in a small room, and my good friend Mary came and sat with me, and I think she tried to go into a Zen state to avoid what was happening. They started out very slowly, like an IQ test, and it went on for almost an hour, and I had to stop them because they had me building blocks of buildings that were triangular and octagonal with chimneys coming out of them, and colors to sort out, and words that, maybe someone with an IQ of, I have an IQ of, 145, 50, and, this is Bill Clinton figuring it out, with his mellow attitude, not somebody for Parkinson's disease. It drove me nearly over the wall. And I resented her for that for a long time, because I attempted to contact her. She never returned my call, never addressed my emails, nothing. Never heard back from them, never got my report, whatever it was that they were doing. So, and the compensation was free parking. I park there free anyway when I go see Dr. Bronstein. Beware. Buyer beware. Clinical trials beware. So it was in 2006 that I had the electric shock therapy. And in 2008, I forgot this one. Not that it was an experiment, and yes, it is an experiment, because they have been experimenting on us with medication. For example, Cinnamon, my mom took Cinnamon. I had 14 years. I didn't start taking Cinnamon until 2004, and I had to fight with them because I wasn't taking it. I was doing all right with the exercise, but I had a stiffness, and they were saying, one doctor said, you must take the Cinnamon, or you will not be able to move. It's like I was at the UN meeting with a German, someone from the Philippines, Dr. Bronstein, another Dr. Kang, two other people. So what did they find out a couple of years after that? It gives you dyskinesia. And I did that before. I have this all the time. Some people have the rocking of the shoulders. So a couple of years after that, no, that was 2008, I was poisoned, toxic. I had been unable to keep food down. I was vomiting every day for a year, and I got dehydrated seriously, started hallucinating here around my home. I went to the hospital and got, every time, I may have said this before in another video, it's not bad to repeat, but drips, IVs of saline drips to get me rehydrated. And this was because of being experimented on with Parkinson's medication that interfered with other medication and you know, the knee bone's connected to the cinnamon bone. I was in the hospital 6 weeks, and 2 weeks I was in a coma. Just going to go on from there. 2012, just recently, I did a clinical trial. There was no compensation, right? Okay, so the clinical trial. They paid us $300 to test this funky machine with funky instructions, and that the whole idea, I think, behind this was that, yes, they said that it was to dispense cinnamon throughout the body, so that we had it 24/7, and our symptoms would abate. And it's inserted through the tube is inserted through the stomach. And this machine is about this big. It's a really heavy battery. And the instructions involve a lot of motor, hand, finger coordination in order to make it work, and changing the battery and inserting the medication. Oh my God. They're out for the money, that's for sure. I don't know that they're out for help, because their gear is simply, oh my gosh. Well, you know, maybe I don't know half of what I'm talking about, but the other half is very humanistic, concern for, you know, not only myself, my fellows who go for this in memory of my mother, and the next generation that we pass the torch to. This has to be reported. Needless to say, I gave the instrument an F. And it's funny, because one of the pharmaceutical companies, the gazillion-dollar income that they have, they paid us money to do this. You know where that's going. I just said it. All about money. More water.